You think overthinking is a personality flaw? It isn't. It's not a habit you picked up, and it's not something broken in you specifically. It's a specific, well-mapped network inside every single human brain, and under certain conditions, it simply will not turn off. Here's the part that surprises most people. Your brain is never actually doing nothing. Even right now, sitting still, not focused on any particular task, something specific is happening inside your head. In fact, brain scans show that during quiet, unfocused moments, your brain can use almost as much energy as it does solving a difficult problem. Not because something is wrong, because resting isn't really what's happening. There's a name for what's actually going on. Scientists call it the default mode network. In the late 1990s, a group of researchers were running brain scans, trying to study focused attention. The plan was simple: give someone a task, scan their brain. Then, let them rest and scan their brain again as a baseline. But the resting scans kept causing a problem. Instead of going quiet, a very specific set of brain regions lit up the moment the task stopped. Not randomly. The same regions. Every time. At first, some researchers treated it as background noise, something to subtract out of the data. But the pattern was too consistent to ignore. They had accidentally found something real. A network that activates specifically when you're not focused on anything external. So what is this network actually doing? Mostly, it's doing exactly the kind of thinking you'd recognize immediately. Replaying conversations, imagining future scenarios, reviewing decisions you already made, thinking about what other people think of you. In other words, the default mode network isn't some obscure background process. It's the voice in your head. The one that won't stop running through what you said yesterday or what might happen tomorrow or what you should have said differently 3 weeks ago. Here's where it gets more interesting. This network isn't a glitch. It evolved for a reason. Constantly simulating social situations, anticipating threats, and reviewing past mistakes was, for most of human history, an enormously useful skill. A brain that could replay a dangerous encounter and extract a lesson from it had a real survival advantage. A brain that could mentally rehearse how to handle a difficult person in the group had a real social advantage. The problem isn't that this network exists. The problem is that it doesn't know when to stop. Researchers have found that this network and your brain's external focus system function almost like a seesaw. When you're deeply focused on a task, the default mode network quiets down. When that focus drops, even for a moment, the default mode network comes right back online, which means the modern brain spends an enormous number of small daily gaps, waiting in line, lying in bed, walking somewhere familiar with this network fully active. And it doesn't politely wait for something useful to think about. It pulls from whatever is emotionally unresolved. Usually that's worry, regret, or some version of social anxiety. This explains something almost everyone has experienced. The exact same thought can feel manageable during a busy afternoon and completely overwhelming at 2 in the morning. That's not random. During the day, your attention network is competing for resources, work, conversations, decisions, all of it pulling focus away from the default mode network. At night, with nothing left to compete with it, the network runs uninterrupted. Nothing about the thought itself has changed. What's changed is that nothing is left to quiet it down. So if overthinking isn't a personality flaw, what is it? It's a normal, evolutionarily useful network currently running in an environment full of idle moments. It was never designed to handle this often. You're not broken for replaying that conversation. You're not weak for lying awake running through tomorrow's worries. You're using a system that helped your ancestors survive, just in a world that gives it far more empty space to fill than it was built for. Understanding that doesn't silence the network, but it does change what it means when it turns on. Not a flaw. Just a brain doing exactly what it has always done.